I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Today we're reading from the book of Job, chapter 35, and focusing on verses 1 through 3. Are you so convinced that you're right, that you say that I'm more just than God? For you ask, what advantage is it to you? How do I gain from not sinning? You know, when my wife and I moved from suburban Chicago to Southern California several years ago, we were amazed at how many varieties of fruits and vegetables can grow in our backyard. And we're already growing, frankly. You see, in Chicago, we only grew icicles. So in the 1950s, my Southern California neighborhood had been a fruit orchard. And many of those original fruit trees were still scattered throughout the neighborhood. As a result, everyone in my neighborhood had more than enough oranges and lemons and walnuts and limes and avocados, pomegranates, more than any of this stuff than they even knew what to do with. And the reason that neighborhood was so fruitful, and the reason why it has fresh fruit today, is because somebody planted seeds a long time ago. And in today's passage, Elihu rebukes Job for asking, how can I gain from not sinning? Job asks an honest question, especially if one cannot pinpoint the reason for their suffering. You see, we have the benefit of flipping to the end of Job's story. And so from our perspective, we say, hold on, Job, it won't be long until God restores even more than he allowed Satan to take away. But poor Job couldn't see how the conditions were going to turn out, or if it would turn out at all. He was literally living on faith moment to moment, trying to hold on to God's word, even when it didn't feel right. And we would like to believe that our faithfulness is going to be rewarded immediately, and by way of some kind of sustained level of personal comfort or success. Oh, well, I'm too blessed to be stressed. Well, sometimes the fruit of our faithfulness is never realized, at least in our own lifetimes. You know, some of those people back in the 1950s, maybe they planted those trees and they died some short time after it and didn't really get to enjoy the benefits of their faithfulness by sowing those seeds. And sometimes we have to enlist the faith of a patriarch. That is, our faithfulness should set into motion habits and patterns of faithfulness that maybe they won't really be fully received until our children get bigger, or maybe even our grandchildren who are yet to be born. They'll see the blessing that we only hope to achieve. And this is the story of Israel leading up to when Joshua led Israel into Canaan. So what does all of this have to do with fruit trees in my neighborhood and Elihu's rebuke of Job's question, how do I gain from not sinning? Well, when we faithfully follow the Lord, he guides us by his Spirit in his word. And our faithfulness is like good soil, and his Spirit plants the good seed of God's word in us. And if we continue in faith, God's word will develop roots in our lives. It'll produce shoots and signs of fruitfulness, faithfulness, leaves will happen, and then eventually we produce the fruit of righteousness and kingdom building. Galatians chapter 5, verses 22 and 23. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And against such things there is no law. The benefit of holding on to God's word, even when it's not comfortable, is that God truly does reward faithfulness. He just doesn't reward faithfulness always in the ways or the time frame that we expect. So just keep holding on in faith. The more we wait patiently in the Lord, the more we experience God's faithfulness, building our endurance and deepening the roots of our trust in his word. And that deepened trust manifests itself outwardly in our lives through the things mentioned before: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, and so forth. But growth takes soil, it takes seed, it takes water, yes, it takes manure, right, fertilizer, and mostly it takes time. And we're a generation which yells at the microwave for being too slow. And we don't like to patiently wait on the Lord. But over time, the object of Job's faith was realized. Job gained greatly from not sinning in the midst of his suffering. Faith isn't fact until it's tested. So hold on and let faith do its work. I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Groundworks Ministries operates entirely through financial donations from faithful people like you. And your giving to Groundworks Ministries transforms lives. Would you consider making a donation to Groundworks Ministries today? Because we need your monthly support now more than ever. Donating is secure and it's easy at our website, groundworksministries.com. You know, another way to help is to tell people about Groundworks Ministries. Share these podcasts with your friends and family and on your social media. It's just easy to post a link and say, hey, y'all, check this out. Of course, you can always direct people to our website, groundworksministries.com.